Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of In the Car with Kurt. As always, from CKO, I'm your host, Kurt. Duh. So anyway, what I'd like to talk about right off the bat, last night's episode of SmackDown, which would have been June 18th, I believe. Today's the 19th, yeah. So, there's a lot of things I'd like to talk about in regards to this. First off, the big thing being Alexa Bliss and Bayley. Okay? Alexa Bliss and Bayley have had this whole feud thing going on for a little bit now. I think about just after Money in the Bank. You know, as everybody knows, Bayley took the title off of Charlotte, who never should have won it in the first place, at Money in the Bank. She took the SmackDown Women's title. And that's great. You know, I'm personally not a big fan of Bayley. I appreciate her and I understand what she does, and I can respect her as a performer and as a wrestler, but I'm not a fan. No particular reason why, just not my taste. And well, Alexa Bliss has been gunning. Well, not necessarily. I don't think it started off her gunning for it, but. Somehow, Bliss ended up in the running for the title, and she went and won a match, you know, to be the number one contender at Stomping Grounds this weekend for Bayley's SmackDown Women's title, even in spite of the fact that Alexa Bliss is on Raw. So, you know, this wild card bullshit is getting out of hand. Anyway, we had a whole segment where... I guess I should back up. I apologize. I'm getting ahead of myself. I just got off work. I'm dirty, and my head is not on straight, much like my camera. So, anyway, basically, Alexa's been doing the same thing she's done a million times before with Mickie James, with Nia Jax, where she befriends somebody, but, like, she befriends them based on manipulating them with lies about other people. So... what she was doing, you know, she's got Nikki Cross, and everybody who is watching wrestling knows what I'm talking about. You got the whole Nikki Cross teaming up with Alexa thing, and you know, that's good and all, whatever. And everybody kind of just thought, hey, you know, this is Alexa Bliss doing what Alexa Bliss does. She's a heel. This is her thing. She manipulates people to do her shit for her. But then it got me wondering, you know, what if they're really trying to spice things up? What if they've noticed how awful the ticket sales for Stomping Grounds were, and they're trying to do some major stuff here? Now, this is a shot in the dark, and all the Bayley fans, all the huggers out there, they're going to tear me apart for this, I'm sure. But just hear me out and try to look at this objectively, okay? What if Bayley turns heel and Alexa turns face? I know, it's a weird thing. Bliss has never really been a true face, not since her short face run in NXT, and which was, as I understand it, to be quite awful. But and Bayley is, as far as I know, has never been a heel. But maybe that's the whole point. They're shaking things up a little bit. So what if, here's the story, I'm going to put it out for you. Here's the thing that got the difference. Bliss always said all these nasty things about other people behind their back, never to their face. Okay? But last night on SmackDown, number one, the week before, Bayley cost them, you know, Nikki Cross and Alexa, their chance at the women's tag titles. Okay? Not very face-ish. But if you saw how she did it, it was not very face-ish. It was not something a face would do. And then last night on SmackDown, she came out kind of cocky-like, drinking Alexa's coffee, which seems like it's not a big deal, but everybody who watches the show knows, like, you know, Bliss got to have that coffee. So it was just kind of a dick thing to do. And then she's the one who threw the first punch. But before she threw the first punch, Alexa owned up to everything she's been saying about Bayley. Owned up to all of it. She's like, yeah, and here's why I said it. And she said all this stuff, and Bayley was just like, Didn't happen. Boom. And that was it. There we go. My camera is just all over the place. I don't know if I don't have it centered on the thing right or what. Every time I hit a little bump, it's like, eh. Anyway, sorry, I'm getting off topic. But that makes me wonder, what if the storyline was Bliss is legitimately like calling Bayley out for, you know, everything that she says she is? What if everything that Alexa's saying is, it holds weight? And she never brought it up before because really she never really had the reason to. You know, Bayley hasn't really been much of a champion, you know, since NXT. Has she? I think she's been Raw or SmackDown champion like one time maybe. And I know I was probably one in there I missed, but I'm just saying. You know, she hasn't been in, you know, the main spotlight as heavily as she could have been. And, you know, Bliss called her out on that, like, oh, you peaked in NXT. Like, that was a good one. That was a good one. But anyway, what if it's like all the shit that Alexa's saying finally puts doubt in people's minds, other performers' minds, and the reason Bayley turns heel is she's like, you know what, I've come out here spewing positivity and try to be the best I can be for everybody else and set an example, blah, blah, blah. And then what happens? First time you guys hear negative comments about me, you all turn your back. You know, I think that'd be a great way for Bayley to go heel. I don't know how she'd do it or what her look or style would be like. We've definitely seen towards the end of the Bayley-Sasha thing that Bayley can be aggressive, and I would love to see Bayley let that aggressive side out through being a heel. I mean, and that's the thing, is there are people who bounce back and forth throughout their career of being a heel face. You know, Seth Rollins did it a little bit. Dean Ambrose has done it. You know, there's very few people who don't. Even The Rock. You know, even The Rock jumped between heel and face, and you know, you might not make a lot of jumps in that standpoint, but I mean, there are people who are they're flip-floppers and they're career faces like John Cena, and they're career heels like, you know, like Bray Wyatt. Well, I guess Bray Wyatt was a face for a little while. Bad example. A lot of people say that Randy Orton is a career heel, and I think that Randy Orton is more of a neutral guy who emphasizes on being a heel most of the time. Because there are times where Randy's not necessarily the bad guy. Like the Bray Wyatt, Randy Orton feud, you know, like if anybody was the bad guy in that was definitely Bray Wyatt. But, I mean, that's the thing. People can always argue, like, you know, both evil, but one was more evil than the other. You know, like, you could say that. And I wouldn't disagree. But there are times where Randy Orton's just kind of, he's just there. He's just doing his thing. Like, hey, you know, I hate all of you, so I'm going to mess up all you guys, you know. So, I mean, there's that. But I think that this could be a good opportunity to really just try out seeing what it's like to have Bayley as a heel and have Alexa as a face. And if it doesn't work out, there's a way to get around that. You know, there's a way to go back to, like, turning Bayley back into a face wouldn't be that hard. I think it'd actually be harder than Alexa, because if Alexa were to turn face and then they realize, okay, we made a mistake, we got to make you a heel again, I think that they could do that, because all they'd have to do is just be like, oh, she was faking it the whole time. You know, and that's best way to turn a face back to a heel is, I gotcha. Look at Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens came back from his big, you know, time off as a face. And I don't know 100%, but the information that I got was that Vince was not feeling it. Vince didn't like KO as a face. So he's like, we're going to turn him evil. We're going to turn him bad. So what did he do? They put him with the New Day. He betrayed Kofi. And then he comes out with all this like, gotcha. I was never, ever, ever a good guy. I always hated you. I infiltrated the New Day. Blah, ha, 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 ha. And you know what? I love Kevin Owens. I like him as a heel. I like him as a face. He's just a good wrestler. He's a hell of a performer. I like it better when he's not so whiny, and he hasn't been whiny lately, and I like that. However, they dumped all that whininess onto Dolph Ziggler. That's a whole nother thing. I'm not even going to get into that. Bayley and Alexa, what do you guys think? Bring on all the hate, because I'm sure I'm going to get it for saying this. And if you're watching this video after the fact that whether it did or didn't happen, you know what? Feel free to either say, "Ha, Kurt, you were wrong. You were wrong. Bayley, my girl, she'd never turn heel." Or if you're, thinking the same way I am, you can be like, "Good call, man." So whatever. Tell me what you think in the comments down there. Otherwise, hey, I'll catch you on the next episode. As always, this was In the Car with Kurt. I almost said it wrong. And I love having you guys as an audience. Take it easy.